Okay. I think we're good to go here. Just a couple little technical issues working with our new conference call line. I know it's a hard thing to change. That's what I've been noticing. But the other line wasn't enough lines. We'd like to have 1,000 lines, so we're trying our new conference call line one more time this week. I'd like to welcome you all to the webinar today. I'm going to have a very exciting webinar today. What's up with these juice parties that everybody keeps hearing about, and how do you do them? That's a picture of Terry and I very quickly there, just for the people that are new and haven't seen us before. And that's my favorite picture coming up here shortly in my slippers. So everything's running a little slow on the slide projections here, but you'll see them shortly. And the how and the why of juice parties is really what we're covering today. And there's more than one way to build a business, and I don't want you folks that are listening here to think that this is the only way to build a business, that you have to do juice parties. There's lots of ways to do the business, and we've done lots of juice parties for other people, but we haven't really done any of ourselves because we live out in the country and we prefer to use the telephone. So we're not suggesting that all of you that are listening here need to suddenly start doing juice parties, but if you are a social person, you like to have people over to your house, and you like to get together with people, it can be a fantastic way of building momentum into your business. And so I've got a special guest coming on here right now that agreed to come on this Easter weekend, even though he's busy with family. Are you there, Mark?
I sure am, Mark. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, Mark, and thank you for coming on. One of our great leaders from Oregon. Mark, just before we get into the juice party, why don't you give folks a little bit of idea of your background and what's got you excited about doing something like this?
Just a little quick background, everybody. My name is Mark Tipperreiter. I've been in Zango for about 18 months or so drinking the juice. Turned onto it by a friend of mine at work, and realized after about 6 months of drinking that I could do this as a business. And the picture you all see here is a picture of myself and my wife out at
Maybe
Cannon
just speak up just a little bit, Mark.
How's that working out?
Yeah, okay.
Right on. So that's a picture of my wife and myself there at Cannon Beach on the coast of Oregon. We love to travel, and we realized that we could not see all the places we wanted to see on Saturdays and Sundays. So we got into Zango, and then Zango got into us, and things have started taking off really recently here with these juice parties that I was talking about. So what would you like me to start with, Art?
Start with that first slide that you've got here. Whoops. Gosh, that's us at convention with the team, Scott Crossman, your group that you're involved in Oregon. And that slide will be coming up shortly.
There it is.
And why do juice parties? That's the next slide here.
I guess, yeah, so that's the question on everybody's mind. Why do we do juice parties? You know, there are so many ways to build a business, like Art said, and, well, I guess I'll just tell you what we've been doing. Juice parties they're simple. They're fun. They're easy to duplicate. What we tried to do when we first got started was find that magic method, that silver bullet that I'm sure so many of you try to find. You know, what's going to jumpstart our business and get us going so fast that we get to premiere as fast as humanly possible. And what we realized is that while there's no silver bullet, there are many methods to build a business. The fastest way that we had for our group was to find those people that were interested in the juice and wanted to share it. And in order to get started, we just found some tools that would work. We found a method where anybody could do it, and that's really the key in this business, is to find something that's duplicatable and to go with it. So juice parties are that way. You know, what does it really take? Let's go to that next slide, Art.
Mark, maybe you could just try speaking up. We seem to have a little extra noise on the moderator line today, and you're not coming through so well, but we'll do the best we can here. Okay, right. Getting people to the party is the next slide. That is the key to the whole thing, isn't it?
It is, because you can't have a party unless you've got people, right? So that's the first step. You know, let's find a way to get people to the party. You know, you can go low tech, you can go high tech. What you're taking a look at here are some of the tools that Zango has to offer. These are different kinds of invitations. On the left, you've got the invitation card, where you can send out a standard invitation. And on the right is something you can get from Zango Merch, and that's just an invitation postcard. So a really quick, easy way, if you like that personal touch, if you like the snail mail and getting something besides a bill in the mailbox, that's the way to go. On the next slide, you can see something that's worked really well for our team out here in Oregon. And that's called Evite. For those of you that are online, and I hope most of you are, you'll see the slide come up here. And this is a public tool that you can find online, www.evite.com. And what this is, it's an online invitation management system. So instead of using your personal email address and sending out an email spam and having to track, dozens and dozens of responses, the yeses and the nos, this does all that for you. And I'm not so much endorsing Evite for Evite's sake, but this is one tool that's helped us do this, and we can repeat it and copy it and use it week after week, event after event with great ease.
So basically what you're saying here, Mark, is there's lots of ways to get the invitation out. Of course, that would include calling people up on the phone, sending them an Evite, maybe mailing them a postcard, mailing them a flyer, all of those kinds of things. Have you used all of those things?
We actually have. Everything and anything you can do to get in touch with people is the way to go. And how many times have we heard how important follow-up is?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So maybe more than one invitation is what you're saying.
Absolutely. And you can set up the Evite system to follow up a couple days before your event in case you're really busy, you're traveling, or you're getting ready for Long Beach and you just happen to forget. That system remembers for you. But those follow-up phone calls, call people a day or two ahead of time, send out a reminder email, remind them what is so important about that night and get them there.
Right, and here's what you've got, some of the elements of a juice party. Why don't you cover this, Mark? I mean, there's different sides here, required and nice to have, right?
Yeah. If you're looking to keep it simple, then take a look at the left side of your screen there. What do you need? What do you need to get started? You got to have people. And the next thing you've got to have is tools. If you don't have any tools, if you don't have any information to give to people, it's not going to be a very effective juice party. And you're really going to be letting people down if you don't have juice. So I'd recommend you have some juice on hand to share.
Right.
The juice parties that we do, we use a host of different DVDs that are available through Zango Corporate. And on the next slide we'll get to that in a minute. I'll show you what we use, and I'll kind of explain how we do that. But what else do you look for? You've got to have a television, the DVD player. You've got to have some cups to pour the juice in and some order forms. It really doesn't need to be much more complicated than that.
Right.
Now, if you want to step it up a bit, if you've got somebody that's a real go-getter, if you want to add some flair, if you want to add a little bit of firepower to your meeting, you can add in a couple of the things that you see on the right side of your screen there. These are nice to have, but they're not required. We like to provide some snacks at ours. We like to step it up a bit and have a host gift in case somebody's giving up their house and they've got a house they've got to get cleaned and get ready and get presentable. We'll also do something that's really worked well, and we'll do trivia prizes. We'll pull some bling from Zango merch, maybe a squeeze fruit, maybe a travel flask, and we'll have trivia during the juice party. You'll ask questions about Zango, you ask them statistics, you put out some information, and you ask people during the meeting to keep them interested and keep them focused on what you're doing. Something else you guys might have seen, that fruit model. It's that hard plastic fruit that opens up where you can see the pericarp and the rind. That's a wonderful tool. And then you've got the Zango branded shot cups. And really, in the brochures part there, I've listed that as nice to have, but they're really key to lay out all the information you can put in a nice arrangement so people realize how wide-reaching Zango is and how effective it can be. Last up, CDs and DVDs, some tools for people to take with them as they go. And if you've got an internet connection, it's wonderful. You can get people started on an order right then and there in your home.
And there's some of the tools that we're talking about, some of the different kinds of DVDs, and I think, it's kind of like whatever tool you like, whatever you would like to show based on the group that's coming, right? I mean, you can use whatever you think is appropriate for the people that are coming. Use the right tool for the job, wouldn't you say?
That's exactly right. Yeah, you can see up on your screen we've got a few different tools. 5 out of the 6 are what we use for our juice parties, and that 6th one there at the lower right, how to present the perfect business, and that's a tool that's available through, I believe it's X1 Tools, and that one really gives a great overview of how to structure a juice party. If you've never done one before, there are tools that teach you how. We get started with the What Is It DVD. You know, people haven't heard of Zango before. They haven't heard of the mangosteen. Well, let's hear about it from real-life people. And then, depending on how much time we've got, we'll just let the tools do the talking. We'll put in exploration, corporate overview of the product. And if we're a little bit with Joe's story, that's a wonderful tool for giving people an overview and some history on where Zango came from.
Yeah, and some people, like you've got the New Entrepreneur, which are stories of business builders, and I know people have selected particular one story maybe from the New Entrepreneur that they thought that the people that were attending would connect with.
Exactly. It's all about tailoring the tools to the people you've got in the room. Let's see. What else have we got here? The juice DVD. We like to pour that while we're pouring some juice. You know, put some noise in the background and get people excited, get them energized.
And then you've got kind of a rough agenda, and there isn't one way to do a juice party. So this is just some suggestions of kind of the order of it. And we're going to have Cass come on here in a few minutes and talk about how she's doing juice parties. Some of it may be the same, some of it might be a little different. But this kind of outlines the juice party. I would say there's three parts to it. There's the before it starts, there's the party itself, and then it's after the presentation is over. That's another part of it. So why don't you run through this agenda, Mark?
Yeah, I'll run through this agenda. And yeah, you're right, Art. There are three main parts, and there are three key things that I'm going to point out when I go through this that it might be good if you guys are online to take some notes. The first item is that pre-meeting and socialization. That is so important to get a feel for the people that are there, get a feeling for what their motivations are, what their needs are. They get to know them a little bit better. Build a relationship where you just go in and start showing them information. So then you do a welcome, you do introductions. What we like to do is have everybody go around the room and say, you know, what your name is, maybe what you do professionally or what your favorite car is. You know, get people to relate to each other. And then the host will explain how they heard about Zango, how did Zango come into their life. And then, like I said earlier, we'll just show the What Is the DVD, get people fired up about the juice and the fruit. We'll do a quick overview of that fruit model, an explanation of xanthones. Nobody that I know before Zango has heard of these things before, never heard of these nutrients, and they need to know. Like I said earlier, we'll roll into Joe's story or exploration. If you've got the time, usually take about an hour. I recommend exploration because it's a much more comprehensive overview of the company. It does a great job for us. And that gets into the second most important thing, I'd say, and those are testimonials. You'll see that I said pre-screened, and what that means, in case you don't know, is talk to your people before the meeting, before they share their stories, and find out what they'd like to say. A couple of times we had to learn at first that there were some stories that would get a little bit long or they wouldn't quite go in the direction we expected, and now we pre-screen them, and it works out great. Once those stories are shared, most people are fired up, and they're ready to order right then and there. But what we'll do is we'll let them taste the juice anyway. So we show the juice DVD, and we'll pour some juice and let people get their first impressions. You know, and we found that depending on what time of the day it is, depending on what kind of person is drinking the juice, it'll taste a little bit different to everybody. So we try not to tell them what to expect and let them experience it on their own. Once that's done, we've let them taste the juice. We've let them find out what this is about. And then you ask the people, well, would you like to get the juice for free or not? And that's a no-brainer. So then we step into the power of one. I'll explain that one a little bit more detail after this slide. We'll pick a story, like Art said, from that New Entrepreneur DVD, which is also available from Zango merch. And then we'll invite guests to order some juice. But I'll tell you what, the most important part of that meeting, once you've done all that, is really that after party and question and answer session. Generally, you invite people to order some juice, and they're just waiting for that one person to go first. You know, how is it before you jump into a swimming pool? How is it before you try something new, a new food, a new beverage? You're always waiting for somebody to go first, and you wait for that dam to break, and then everybody wants to get on that bandwagon and order some juice.
Yeah, and this is what Cass is going to be talking about. So it's almost like once the ball starts rolling, I mean, the way it goes, right?
Exactly. So that's what we'll do, and we'll just roll into the order forms. You got that next slide up, Art?
Yeah, just a sec here. That's the power of one here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so this is part of and not everybody does the Power of One, but this is a Mike Healy presentation that he likes to do. Well, it's actually from the Perfect Business, right? And this is something that is a great way to show the power of duplication, introduce the idea of business to people. Mark, and do you use this at every juice party? How do you use this particular tool or section?
Well, what we'll do is we'll get to the point in the party where we pour the juice and let people taste them. And like I said, we'll ask them if they'd like to get their juice for free or not. And then what we do is use this particular tool and walk right through the tool. You know, we found that you can have somebody that's just staircases above everybody else, somebody who's just a superstar and can go from party to party to party and explain it. But if you can't find a way to do it simply and duplicatably, then you're really not leveraging yourself. So we use this tool here. It's called the Power of One, and we'll walk through it. And Mike and Stacy have done a great job in putting some tools together to explain it simply to people. And if you look for that brochure, it really does a great job of showing people how to be introduced to the juice, how to show how they can get their juice for free. And effectively what it does is it breaks down barriers and objections. And it gets to the point where people can say, you know what, we can order.
So there's a brochure on it, and now what I'm showing is a little snippet from his actual DVD, How to Present the Perfect Business, and it's kind of the number one tool, and it talks about some of the things that you've already covered in terms of showing a DVD and everything. And I've also marked, part of the Power of One would be standing up sort of in front of the room with a flip chart or something. Is that right?
Yeah, you can use a flip chart. You can use a dry erase board. If you've got somebody, anything that you can do to get that information in front of people is the best way to go.
Yeah, and people that are, people that are a little nervous about standing up and presenting something like that in front of people, what I've seen them do actually is just show the actual Power of One part of this DVD of Mike's after you've shown the other DVDs and gone through the rest of it, and just let them watch him present it on the DVD. And so that's something you can do in the beginning until you have, if you're lacking confidence in getting up in front of people.
That's a great idea. There's no better way to get that information out in front of people than to let the tools do the work for you.
And I'm just bringing up a slide here, Mark, that kind of shows what the Power of One looks like on a board. It's a picture of Mike kind of going through the steps, and it really shows the power of duplication. And we won't get into exactly how the Power of One works, but you can basically see he's talking about if one person basically joins and then another person joins, and each month another person joins, at the end of 12 months there'll be 2,000 people in the group. And so it really is a great example of the power of duplication.
It really is, and that's really the key. Once you're able to show that power of duplication to people, they make that order, and that's the time to set up the next juice party. How many times have we heard Marlene Belinget say, appointment to appointment to appointment, set up the next juice party? You've got people that are right there in that room that are excited about this product. They've got a list of people in their head that they would love to share this with. It's time for you to open it up and ask them and invite them to open up their homes and tell their friends that need to know.
Yeah, and the key then at the end of the meeting is to get them to join, and you've got a couple of suggestions here which we like and have talked about before. You can go online and show them the website. Here, let me show you how this works now. At the end, I'll show you how you can get your website. I'll show you how you can order, and you could actually take people on a tour in front of your laptop, or you could go into the room, show them the computer, and walk them right through it. That's do it, right?
Exactly.
And at what point do you try to do this? Right as soon as the meeting is over?
What we'll do is we'll get into that informal question and answer session. People will ask, do you have any information on such and such a condition? Do you have anything relating to another kind of experience they've had? And we'll pull that information. It'll start opening up questions. And we'll get to the point where we'll say, well, based on your questions, it sounds like you're ready to order some juice. And they'll get to the point where they'll nod and they'll say, yeah, you know what, I think I am.
Okay, so based on your questions, it sounds like you're ready to order some juice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's key.
And
You've got, yeah.
So it's really kind of what would be called just asking for the order. Let's go, right?
Ask permission to proceed, right.
And then this is the offline order form that often we recommend. You could pass these out to guests that are in the room. Quick application, and we have a copy of that in the back office of becomingaapremier.com. and in the download section. And so that's what we call the quick order form. This can be used anytime you're not around a computer, because the last thing you want to do is to leave the process to someone else. You know, hey, go to my website, you can join there. That is the last thing you would do. If everything else failed, you would just send somebody to your website. Right, Mark?
That's right. We're a premium company. We're offering a premium product, and we really do need to give premium customer service. If you leave people to their own devices, they're going to struggle, and it's our job to help them as best we can, and that means walking them through the process, explaining it every step of the way, and being a coach and mentor for them.
Okay, and then follow-up. Mark, what is this all about? How do you follow up then? Is this after the juice party or what?
That's exactly right, Art. So if you've had your juice party, you know, you've had some people that decided they wanted to order juice, it never hurts to follow up. In fact, you know, some of you might have heard that it takes, I think it's 7 exposures before somebody is even ready to take a step with something. In this case, this is just one more exposure, one more drip. You honestly want to thank people for spending time with you that evening, that afternoon. Maybe they drove a long distance to get where you're at. You know, they thought enough of you to spend their time with you, and you need to thank them for that. Be sincere. Yeah, but above
okay,
all,
Mark. You know, this is a great little overview. Now, let's talk about some of the juice parties that you've been doing and how they've been working. And I want to talk about the amazing, I don't think anyone else has done anything like this, the amazing 2 juice parties you did back-to-back, where you did one in Washington and one in Chicago. Let's talk. I mean, what were you doing? You were on a blitz to get to 5K, basically, right?
I was on the fringe, and I looked at my volume, and I looked at my group and tried to find out who needed the most help, where could I go to have the most impact. And we had a group of people. So if you're familiar with Oregon, you've got the Portland area, you've got the surrounding cities, and I've got most of my people are in this area. So I headed out to a little town called Vernonia, where one of my downlines is. He's a new 1K. We had a juice party that night, and I believe I was on the phone driving to that juice party, conferencing with Art and Terry and Matt, and it was just a powerhouse night. We had a juice party there, about an hour west of Portland. I had my bags packed before I'd even left for work that day. We got 100% of the people at that juice party sign up that night. I buzzed right to the Portland airport, jumped on a plane. It was a red-eye flight, got into Chicago the next day around 5:30, and 2 of my best friends from school are out there, Matt and Linda Valerio, and they are just aspiring hard workers that needed a little bit of help, and they had a bunch of people, about 20 people, that wanted to have a juice party at their house. So I plugged in there. We had a juice party that night. We had amazing success with that, and we turned 2 new 1Ks over that very night.
Wow, fantastic. But I remember you telling me that there was a little thing, and you wondered if Chicago was actually going to work or something. Was there a hitch getting people to join on that one or something?
It wasn't so much a hitch on the join. We actually were really well set up. We had the offline order forms. We had 2 laptops with internet connections ready to go, and believe me, we needed them that day. But it was the weather. Chicago had just been getting just completely blitzed by snowstorms left and right, and then that weekend that I flew in, they had actually had clear weather, no snow on the ground, and 2 days after I left, I got 9 inches of snow.
Wow! Yeah, you were lucky. So how many people did you sign up from those 2 juice parties as a direct result of those 2 juice parties that you did that week?
Oh my gosh, put me on the spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it was 7 people within 24 hours.
Yeah, 7 new people joined. And have you had some that joined later on out of that juice party?
Absolutely, we have.
Yeah. And so now you're a new 5K, and you've got a solid 5K from your juice party blitz. I would call it a juice party blitz that you were doing.
It sure was. Yeah, we got the 5K secured. That's been locked in. Our volume has gone up about, I'd say, 30% in the past 90 days, which has been wonderful. And we didn't waste any time just sitting on our laurels. You know, in those juice parties, we got plugged into the people that were there. We said, you've got some people in mind that you'd like to tell about Zango. Who are they? Let's get a list. Let's pick a date. Let's get this planned and go with it.
Yeah, and you've done a lot of juice parties. Scott, your sponsor, and when we were down in Portland, was talking about all the places you've been in the last 2 months. I mean, how many juice parties do you think, rough guess, the last 60 days or so, have you been to or hosted or helped put on?
I'd say between 12 and 14 in the past 60 days.
Wow, and your volume is up 30%. and now you're a 5K.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for coming on, Mark. I know we went a little overtime, but you had some great pictures. This is my favorite picture of you and your team from the convention the year before last. We're all dressed up for the dance party, and this is Mark and Amy here. We have a lot of fun in Zango, don't we?
We absolutely do, and thanks so much for the opportunity, Art. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Mark Tipperrider from Oregon, soon to be premier in Zango. Top guy, and blessings to him and his whole team. Scott Crossman, his sponsor. What a great group we have down there in Portland. So thanks a lot for coming on, Mark.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, great job, Mark Tippenrider. Now I've got to just unmute Cass's line here. We get a little background noise, and with my new system, I can actually unmute lines here. So are you there, Cass? Can you hear me?
Art, am I too loud?
No, you're coming through fine now, Cass.
Okay. Hello.
So, Cass, great to have you on the webinar today, and you've been doing some fantastic things with juice parties. And why don't we just give folks a little idea of your background for reference? They may not have heard of you before.
Is not enabled.
And then we'll talk about how you found this lady and how the juice parties have been going.
All right, that's great. Okay, Art, thank you. My background is quite simple. I've been able to retire from teaching and travel to places like the USA and Europe for several weeks at a time, I've built an international team in quite a few countries now, and it's helping people all over the world to achieve similar results and more, basically. It's very exciting. So I joined Zango about 4 years ago, or 3.5 years ago, when it was brand new over here in the UK, and I've built my business on a variety of different ways, my team, and I started doing juice parties quite recently, inspired by people coming on, by Marlene Ballink and by Mike Healy, and by other people who I've been hearing about doing juice parties. And I started doing them locally because I wanted to build local teams in the same way as Mike Healy has done. And so, do you want me to tell you how I got started on juice parties?
Yes, but first of all, you're from Birmingham in England, which is or outside of Birmingham in a small town.
Yeah,
Birmingham
that's right.
is kind of in the central south part of England. I've been through Birmingham, and we went there a year ago.
Yeah.
And you live in a fairly smaller community outside of there.
That's right. I live in a small community. That's right. And I didn't grow up here either. I moved into this community from the outside. So, I'm not a homegrown girl, if you want. So, my friendships and my acquaintances are more spread around the world than localized. If you,
right.
Sometimes it's difficult to penetrate places that are already pretty well established, if you see what I mean. And being from a kind of perhaps a bit of a different kind of person than what they're used to dealing with, I have quite a variety of strange friends from all over the place. So, but it's not so much of a kind of a group kind of local sort of situation.
Yeah, so let's talk about what happened, Cass, because you were going through, kind of a little bit of a difficult time in your business.
Yeah.
What a lot of us do sometimes. We call it the dip, and what happened?
Well, I was reading The Dip, and because I bought it at I bought it at convention, I believe. Yeah, I bought it at convention, and it was a book I really had been intending to read at the right time, and I did go through a dip. Something happened in my organization. Sometimes things go wrong, and I kind of was feeling a bit low about that, and about some other things as well. And sometimes things don't work out, and I'd had a few knockbacks and a few disappointments, and I'd sort of gotten myself into perhaps a little bit of a dip myself, and I read The Dip, and I suddenly thought, I've just got to pull myself out of the situation, and so I decided that I sort of more or less contacted everybody I knew, and as you know, Art, I work what we call the meat market a great deal, meeting people and talking
Right.
to people. And something it wasn't gelling, it wasn't working out, and I had a lot of disappointments. And so I was still working the meat market, but it wasn't really coming about. And I just decided one morning, I thought, this I'm going to just pull myself out of this, and I decided to open up the Yellow Pages, and the first place that my finger hit on the Yellow Pages, I was going to call that person up and try and make an appointment with them. And so I just opened up the Yellow Pages, and as it turned out, it happened to be a naturopathic doctor, and I got her name on there. She had her name and everything on it, and so I called up, and her secretary answered, and I basically said, is Anne there? And she said, no, are you a patient? And I said, well, it's for private actually. I said, would it be okay for her to call me back when she's free? And she said, yeah. What's your number? What's your name? I said, Cassandra. So she called me back, and she first said to me, she said, yes, what, blah blah. And I said, I'm actually not a patient of yours, but I'm calling because I want to introduce you to, I want to know if you know about the mangosteen. And she said, you're trying to sell me something. And I said, actually, I'm not trying to sell you anything, Anne. I said, I'm trying to pass some extremely important information on to you. Excuse me. I really, this is terribly important. You really need to know about this. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to share something with you. And so she made an appointment with me. I went to see her the next day.
That's an amazing story, Cass, and I know you just kind of rambled that out of there, but I mean, here you just sort of picked up the phone book, put your finger on somebody, called them, and made an appointment. Now, that's what I call a power move.
Well, it's getting past secretaries, Art. That's usually the tricky bit. And if you get the person's name who you're targeting, and you ask for their name directly, and then you say, this is a private matter, I'm not a patient, or I'm not, I would just like to talk to, and you give them their name, then somehow something goes, there's a lovely picture of Anne, all right, that's her husband. Those are some kids. We had to go and take the photograph afterwards because I got very involved in the juice party, and I was asking Gordon to take the pictures of the juice party, and he got a bit nervous about it, and he didn't. Something went a bit wrong with his photography. So basically, but it doesn't matter because do you see the cat in the picture? The cat had actually been injured, and it was on its way out. It was dying when I met Anne, and I told her, she was quite upset about the cat, and I said, look, why don't you give the cat some juice? Just give the cat some juice. And she looked at me as if to say, are you crazy? And I said, no, really, give the cat some juice. And she listened to me, and she gave the cat the juice, and there he is. The cat looks, it doesn't look so good in that picture, but the cat's fine now.
Wow. Yeah, so you had your appointment with Anne, and obviously she was impressed with what she saw.
Yes, she looked at the science. She was impressed. She decided that it must, I don't know, at that time it was interesting because she said that she herself, and this has happened to me so often with Zango, is that she said to me that she herself was feeling a little bit low, and that she actually was, she had the cat that she was worried about, but she was also feeling a little bit low, and she needed a boost. And when I called her up, it was a really, really bad day for her, but she just felt that there was something there, and that I had been sent in a funny kind of way. So I went to see her, and we just gelled immediately. And she cottoned on to the idea of this as a business because she wants to be able to stop working one day, and she doesn't want to be doing this forever. Her natural therapy, working as hard as she is, because she has people who come to see her from abroad, and all over England, and she is a very hard-working woman. So she got very excited about it and said, "Yep, what do I need to do?" And I said, "Well, you know so many people that maybe one of the ways to do it for you would be to do juice parties, and that's a good way to spread the word." So all the people in this picture, well, I mean, obviously Gordon is her husband, but the lady next door to her is signed up, and her daughter down below here is signed up as well, and those are the two lovely children. And so we organized a juice party with her, and what we did was very simple. We just showed the exploration DVD. We had people come, and when we first had them come, we just talked to them and sort of got made a relationship with them, and just exactly the same as Mark said. We got to know them a little bit, and got friendly with them, asked them some questions, found out a little bit about their background and things. Some of them had already been drinking juice, and some people were doing it for the first time, drinking it for the first time, and then we asked them, thanked them for coming and taking their time, and then we showed them the exploration DVD. And after that, we had just a little bit of a questions and answers, because we said to them, pay close attention to this, because we're going to ask you a couple of questions, and we're going to give a couple of prizes away for people who get the questions right, and that sort of made it exciting and things, and it got them to pay attention. And then after watching that, we asked a few questions. Of course, in that time, it was the first one that we had done, so people were asking lots of questions, and so what we did is immediately we brought out the juice, and we did the juice tasting, and I gave a brief kind of explanation, just a sort of a presentation on what it's done for me, and
Right.
And Anne did the same thing. She told people why she was doing this as a business, and she explained about how she wants to be able to basically hang her hat up one day, and she doesn't want to be doing this forever, and this would be a perfect opportunity. She also mentioned the fact that because she's always been self-employed, pensions and things like that aren't something that are very much likely to be coming her way, and that for lots of reasons. She gave the reasons why she wanted to be doing this. So she brought in the business aspect of it, and I brought in the business aspect as well by telling people that I had retired from teaching.
Right. Right.
And the reasons why I had joined Zango, how it had started with my health, and how I had no idea about network marketing, but when I saw the formula and the industry, I was so impressed. So that sort of got the problems of whether it's legal or whether it's a good thing or a bad thing out of the way,
Right. Yeah.
So those little testimonials helped. And then what we did after that is I told them, there's going to be two parts to this presentation, and on the second part, what we did is people were very, very interested in the juice at this particular case, and it's as Mark said, you kind of have to gear the juice party to the kind of people who are in the room.
Right.
And Anne had already identified two people in the room who were probably going to be more than likely want to do the business, right? And other ones who are going to be wanting the juice. So what we did is we showed just two clips from A Taste of Life DVD.
Right.
Yeah.
That has some mangosteen stories on it, right?
Yes, it has mangosteen stories, and we showed two clips that had to do with conditions that people had mentioned in the room, because there's lots and lots of testimonials on there. And then after that, this is on this particular juice party, and then we showed I showed the Mike Healy presentation, because I find that there's two reasons why I like to show the Mike Healy video, the part of the Mike Healy video, is because they've tasted the juice and they've had a little think about it and things like that, and he comes on and you see in that video, you see a lot of things. First of all, when he made that video, he had only been in Zango for a couple of, or 3 years. Zango was only 3 years old. Sorry, he had been in Zango less time than that. But Zango was only 3 years old, and he was giving the predictions that they had for its growth. So I was able to stop the video and say, they have exceeded their expectations. They have already done $1 billion in sales, and this is by word of mouth. People telling people about the power, what this juice is doing for them.
Right. So what you're saying, Cass, is that presenting the perfect business, that DVD of Mike Healy's, you would show parts of that as part of the business presentation on a DVD, right?
That's right. And then when he asks questions of the audience, and the camera pans around the room, and he says, "Can you raise your hand if any of you have had a result from this juice?" And everybody raises their hand. And not only that, but they can see a big room full of people. So lots of things get put into their ideas here. You know, there's a big room full of people here. They're all different-looking people. They're all raising their hand. You know.
Wow.
How, you know, that's quite powerful. It's like being there in the room, you know, with them, isn't it? And it also shows them at the same time that all you have to do is fling a DVD on.
Yeah,
so they can
very
do it
duplicatable. Right.
Yeah, it's completely...
And so do you go ahead then and have him show the actual Power of One presentation as well?
Yeah, then we do the
point?
Power of One presentation. We show them the Power of One presentation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how I say, you know, this is how you can get your juice for free, right?
Right.
And then I just say, okay, we stop that, and I say, now, you know, this is for those who would like to get started straight away. What I say to them is I say, you know, and I've given them already from the very beginning, I've given them a quick order form, okay?
Right.
All right? And I've given them also a short Zango Juice Party presentation so they know what the agenda is going to be. Right? So at the end, it says on that, it says for those who would like to get started straight away, there's membership registration. If you're interested in the business opportunity, Cassandra will be staying for an extra hour to help answer your questions, right? And then what I say also about the membership presentation, I say, you know, based on the information that you have seen, do you see any reason not to try this? Because I learned that one from Sean. Because you
don't see any reason not to try this.
Yes, because the most common answer in the English language is no.
Right.
Right. So if you say based on this information, do you see any reason not to try it? If they say no, they're saying yes.
Yeah. Right.
So you know, say okay, well that's great. You know, so you know, here we've got your membership registrations here. We can help you to do that now, and then, you know, fill them in. Now, this is England, or perhaps this happens in other places in the world. Some people can feel that you're being a bit pushy, all right? And so you have to be a little bit careful, and you have to wait for feedback. So if somebody says, no, I would like to wait, or something like that, well, that's fine. They all bought juice. If they hadn't tried it before, they all bought juice straight away. Some of them went away with 1 or 2 bottles. In this particular case, 5 signed up, and that was fine. So that worked out fine. And 2 of those people are going to be doing juice parties after Easter, because they want to build a business as well. So it worked, and we've been doing business juice parties with Anne every week.
Okay, so when did you start? When was your first juice party with Anne then?
I would say it was
a month ago, or
we have one in between that we didn't do. No, we've had consecutive. We've had 3 weeks. It's about 4 weeks. She went to 1K in, she signed up on in January, end of January, and in February she was still trying the juice and things, and then we did our first juice party end of February. Towards the end of February, and then 2 in March. And the other day we had 2 juice parties in one day because people couldn't make it.
How many roughly people do you think have signed up from her juice parties? It sounds like she's done about 4 or 5 of them by now.
No, she's done 8. She's got 8 people in her. Yeah, 8 or 9, I think now.
Oh, 8 or 9 people have signed up?
Oh yes, definitely. I think there might be. The last juice party we did just recently, we had, 2 signed up there, 5 the first time. And then, as a consequence of juice parties, a couple more have signed up. She's got 9, I think, now.
Right. In basically 5 weeks. You know, this is a juice party to me is a 1K producing deal. You know, if you want to get somebody to 1K, you know, there can't be a faster way as long as you can get the people to turn up, and that is the key to it, right? I'm getting people to attend. And
yeah, I mean, you know, one of the things that Marlene Belling talks about when she's talking about home juice parties is the kind of people who she looks for, and she says, you know, look for your business builders, and she says, you know, look for people who have a center of influence, right? And of course, you know, this is a very strong center of influence. But we made clear at the juice party that this is not the only way to build this business. You know, that the juice party is one way to do it, and we're very happy to help people out. And I always emphasize, I say, you know, I'm doing this full time, and you guys are still working, and you know, and you'll be doing this part time. And I'm here. I'm available to help you and to support you exactly the same way as I'm supporting Anne here. And of course Anne will support you as well. But as she's learning, you know, I'll be there with her as well. You know, so we make it clear.
Yeah. So
to
you're now
people
starting to get juice parties going for people other than Anne now, and other people are
absolutely,
going to start to have them.
Yeah, we've got two coming up after Easter. And then I also did another juice party for another member in my downline, somebody who's not in my sponsor line, Art. And I drove up to Huddersfield. That's 3 hours away from here, up north. She had signed up, and her sponsor is in America, and she's a vicar up in Huddersfield, and so I went up there and helped her to organize. She got the people in to the juice party, and I helped her to do the juice party.
And what is your secrets really for inviting people and getting them to come, Cass? What would you say to somebody to help them get people to turn up for the juice parties?
Okay, well, there's different ways. What we did is we have a flyer which we've sort of adapted from another flyer that was offered to, you know, we're allowed to adapt it, and it's basically what it does is it invites people to a juice party, and it can be customized. But basically, it tells it's a home juice party, and it says the city and so forth, and the town, and then it says, learn why many doctors are embracing this amazing health beverage, and then there's two I learned from Mark Januszewski when I was in the European convention, the European regional.
Oh right, yes.
He came and he did a presentation for us, and he said, make two positive statements and then offer something. It's a very powerful way, and I've been doing that, and it really does work. So on one side, I've mentioned I've made a kind of like an inset with a star around it, sort of like, you know, like you would find a, how would you say, just that makes it stick out a bit, yeah? And it says arthritis is painful, and basically for every person you see in the street, walking in pain, there are 5 at home who can't even go out, and then it says fibromyalgia, IBS, pulmonary disease, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's are preventable. And on the other side, it says the cost of living increases daily, people are working longer hours with less time and job security. We have found a way of helping people secure a financially stable, future. And then it says the date, and it gives the name of the host, and then it gives a little blurb on who's going to be helping to present it. And it just basically says that I've been able to retire from teaching and so forth, and come and see how she did it, right? And then Zango is changing lives worldwide.
Right. So you've got basically a combination brochure and a flyer that you make up for your juice parties to get the word out.
That's right. We tell them when the date is, and and everything. We ask people to respond. So that's one way of doing it, okay? And that's what we used up in Huddersfield. That worked really well. But also, it's just calling people up, using their center of influence and calling them up and saying, hey, I've just started a business. I really want you to know about it. You know, it's a great. It involves a great product that is really helping people. You know, why don't you just come along and see what it's about, and then that's it. Get them to come.
Yeah.
So
Well, thanks a lot, Cass. Great job here. Somehow the time has flown. We're just about out of time. Anything else you wanted to add before we finish off the call?
Well, all I can add is for everybody, just go ahead and take action, because action is absolutely from picking up the yellow pages and opening up one page and putting my finger on it. I found myself a business builder in an incredible situation who was doing juice parties, who went to 1K almost straight away, who's introduced me to all sorts of fascinating people, including government officials who travel around the world, and it's very, very exciting, and business builders who are just about to pop now. You watch this space. And that just came from one action, just one single action. And so if you do an action like that 2 or 3 times a day, you're going to be on a winner.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Fantastic job, Cass. Great to have you on the team, and blessings to you and all of your team there. Great to have you a part of it.
Thanks, Art.
Great job, Cass. And, I can't finish off the section on juice parties without basically going through what I call the pitfall. I think there's a juice party with pitfall. There's a pitfall with juice parties. Whoops, just a second here. Hold on here. Little technical issues. It's hard to do everything at once. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah.
I believe there is a pitfall in juice parties, and the pitfall is this. You invite a bunch of people to come out, and they don't show up. And it can really set you up for a feeling of failure. So you just have to understand that's part of the game. Mm-hmm. That if you invite 20, you might get 5, or you might get 2. And the thing I like about juice parties is you can have a successful juice party if even only one person shows up. So don't get hung up by your success-failure issues, where you feel like a failure if people don't show up, because nothing is lost. And if they don't show up, you've already opened the door to call them back, say, hey, I see you didn't make it. Listen, can I mail you an information packet? It was fantastic. This is what happened. I'm sorry you missed it. Listen, we're going to have another one. Several people really loved what they saw here. And so it's a process. You never lose anything. So don't get stuck in the pitfall. Are you ready for the ultimate plan B? I got an announcement here of a new website that we have created that I want you to test out as part of your prospecting process. And this is what it looks like. It's called theultimateplanb.com. Cass, could you try hitting 6 to mute your line? See if that takes away the background noise. Oh, perfect. Yes. Somehow your line is giving me a little noise. Theultimateplanb.com. Fantastic new website. Take a look at this. And we've set this up so that you can send people to, this is an experimental website that I'd like you to test out with people in your pipeline process. This is not necessarily the first place I would send somebody to that you're trying to get interested, because it's going to take a motivated person to want to go through this whole presentation. I think this is for people that are on the fence. I think this is for customers that you'd like to turn into business builders, distributors that you'd like to turn into business builders. This is for highly qualified business prospects that you haven't been able to sign up, and you would send them an email and say, hey, listen, you've got to check out this website, theultimateplanb.com. I want you to go to this website. I'm working with this guy on this page. Just enter your information in there and check out the video presentation. There's a fantastic video presentation. So you'd send them the Ultimate Plan B, and the password to enter in here is Plan B, right? And they would put their name, their email address, and Plan B would be the password here, okay? And when they submit that, they're going to go to this page. Whoops, hold on a second here. Forgot to show the slide, to open the slide up there. Yeah, hold on. I can see you can't see it. There is the Ultimate Plan B. It should be showing up on your screen there now. That's what the front of the page looks like, theultimateplanb.com. And so that is the URL, and you don't need the capitals, of course. I put that in there, theultimateplanb.com, and you've got somebody on the fence. Or let's say that you've got a distributor that is interested in building a business, but you haven't been able to motivate them into action. This is another thing for this kind of a site. And there's the name, the email, the password goes in here, and when they submit that, then they go directly to our Ultimate Plan B presentation. And this is an experimental site. We're going to see how this works. This is it directing them right into the back office of our website. That's just basically entering them right into the back office here so they can watch the Ultimate Plan B. And I've had some incredible feedback from this presentation. I know that it's a little bit long, so it's only for highly motivated people, but it's going to walk through why they should want to build a business and so on. This is a fantastic tool I'd like you to use. I'd like you to try it out. I'd like you to give me some feedback. We're not doing anything with the emails. We're not even collecting the emails that people are putting in there at this point in time, so you don't have to worry about what's happening to people's contact information. So the Ultimate Plan B, oh gosh, we don't have time to go into this slide. The MyZango has a new training program for the back office, and I was just showing you where do you find that. I guess I could at least show that slide so you don't think I'm crazy. If you want to learn about your MyZango back office, go under Business Tools here, Training Presentations, and they have videos that will walk you right through your entire back office here. Well, we're just about out of time. Also, I wanted to point out our Getting Started in 5K in 90 Days in the back office. If you've got some highly motivated people that want to get to 5K in 90 days, we'd like to find out who they are. It's about making 100 presentations in 90 days to get to 5K, and this is for new members. And we're having to finish off here. There's a little form that people fill out there if they're really motivated and wanting to really go for this 5K in 90 days. And I highly recommend that you send your new prospects to this site. So we're out of time. I can't really show you much more on that, although if you know of anybody that is interested in going for 5K in 90 days, we'd like to know who you are. We'd like to create a special focus group. Anybody in your team that fills out that form, just have them send me an email to artman@thurston.com. I'd like to know who are wanting to go 5K in 90 days that have filled out that form, gone through the presentation, and so on. Send an email here so we can create a focus group here to help you out and keep track of who is going through this process. I'm looking for some guinea pigs to prove that they can actually do this thing. Long Beach, we're going to see a lot of you there next week, so looking forward to that. Don't forget, we got the Share It campaign. Singles are hot. We're going to have a presentation on singles, and thank you all for coming on the call today. We're going to open up the lines so we can say goodbye, and I'd like you to give a little round of applause, if you will, a little cheer for Mark and Cass for coming on, doing an incredible presentation on the juice parties today.
All callers are muted. All callers are unmuted.
Okay, thanks everybody, and thanks Mark and Cass.
Thanks, Bo. Wonderful. Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you, Cass. Thank you, Art.